Howdy, everyone. This is Three Amigos podcast. The Three Amigos being the levels we're going to talk about this week in the ES, the NQ, and the YM, which are the three equity indices that most of you are trading out there. There's the ES. This show, our special thing we're doing is we're drawing them all on Post-it notes. Could you throw some like fib indicators on there or something like that?
Oh, this is the week chart right there, and it's backwards, so up and to the right.
Yeah,
no, it looks right.
Yeah, simplify trading. The only indicator you need is that drawing from MP. Anyway, so to dive into the news right away, since these are moving the indices, we have the Tesla and Apple stock splits coming. I believe Tesla is what, Dan, the 24th, and Tesla's the 31st? I'm sorry, Apple's like the 24th?
Apple's the 31st.
Okay,
perfect. Tesla, you got to be in by the 21st, from what I read yesterday.
To get the split?
Then get the split.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we've got Apple's going 4 for 1, Tesla's going 5 for 1. And what's wild is Apple just hit $2 trillion market cap, and they're about to be $125 stock, give or take, $120 a share. It's going to bring in a lot of buyers, I think. I know we all have differing opinions. I think we're bringing in a lot of buyers when we start splitting these.
Well, I think the most important, beyond the individual stock is as we get into the indices, you mentioned that with this split, they will drop way down as a component of the Dow, which kind of like removes the curtain from the abject absurdity that is the way the price weighted Dow works.
Right. You think about it. Apple's gone from 1 to like 16 or 17 in the list of weighted averages within that Dow. That's going to be pretty crazy.
Right. On the other hand, the ES is missing, Tesla, which isn't in the S&P 500 yet, but could be very soon, which will be one of the largest companies ever added to it. To give you an idea, I believe Facebook was only $170 billion, only $170 billion market cap when it was included, and that was one of the biggest ever. And now we have 375. It's the size of Walmart as of today when it hit 2,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
That's crazy. The split, I think, the whole split, we talked about the 21st, you got to be in, and then the Apple is happening. I wonder if the other ones if Amazon will do it too. I mean, if I'm an individual, new trader, and I got $200, I'm jonesing right now because I'm like, sweet, I'm going to own, however many shares and be a part of all this. Again, we talked about slices and different fractional shares, but I pretty much think this is going to bring a ton of interest in, of course, because that's what it's going to do to the retail community. Get them all on this.
And we're somehow, just going to keep seeing
Wall Street's going to want to take it apart.
Well, that's the thing. These indices going higher and higher.
We were talking about on the Slack channel today of it'll be interesting to see with the Tesla thing is obviously it's ramped up 44% since last week, just on the news being that they announced this split. So it'll be interesting to see if people are somewhat already expecting that sort of retail interest in it, and whether or not it dumps some or keeps on going. We have some Tesla Uber bulls in the office saying it's going to double in the first month. I won't tell them who that is.
They already know. JD talked about it on the recap the other day with me. He said within 2 months that stock's doubling. But Jack, you bring up a good point. It'll be really interesting. You're seeing a lot of people jumping into it right now. They're anticipating that same thing. But I did a little numbers today looking at Tesla, and I just wanted to give it perspective. Value of vehicle. I went with Tesla, and innovation-wise, Tesla and BMW. BMW has been a very innovative vehicle company going forward. They've had the hydrogen. They are doing electric. They have all sorts of innovations coming out of there. Tesla in 2019 produced 397,000 cars. Sounds like a lot of cars, right? So I'm looking at BMW. I go, what is BMW's output in a year? 2.5 million cars.
Well,
BMW's market cap, $32 billion. Tesla, $387 billion market cap. It's amazing.
Yeah, don't get involved with that unless you believe it's more than a car company, more than a battery company,
right,
more than a cold fusion company, more than a space mining company, more than it's going to surpass world GDP at some point, I'm sure.
Right.
Well, that is why I'm becoming a perma bear.
Yeah.
I think I'm starting to become, and you talked about it today, Jack. I think I'm becoming a perma bear, and I'm looking for everything to go down, and it just keeps going up. But
well, one thing that would keep me from doing that is I was at one point rather recently short a good like a number of shares of Tesla that if I hadn't swallowed my pride and dumped out, I would be in the house of pain.
You'd be a lot more short coming here.
Right? Well, if I liked it at 1,400, I'm going to love it at 1,800. And man, I want more at 2,000.
I would be margin called into oblivion. You know, that's what happens when it goes up 1,000 points in a couple days. But as long as we're backing it out to the indices, the macro things that people were supposed to be paying attention to today is the jobless claims creeped up again above 1 million, which makes sense given that the PPP loans,
PPP.
There's all those PPE is a personal protective equipment, not that.
Yes.
The PPP loans are expiring, and
now
yeah,
with that one, even American Airlines is already talking about canceling flights to 15 more U.S. cities. You know, someone mentioned it to me today, and it all kind of started to rack up in my head and think about stuff. The Great Depression was preceded by the Spanish flu. So we had a pandemic that led into that Great Depression. I sure hope history doesn't repeat itself here, but it has me. It
usually
has
does,
me.
Hodgman. Usually does.
I hope it doesn't. And that's where my thoughts are. And that's why this whole stimulus talk and Congress going on recess, it's like, oh man, we really need these guys back in here. Let's get a plan. Let's keep moving this thing forward.
Yeah. I mean, who's the one? It was an American today that said, you stop giving us stimulus money, or stop. Once the money stops, by the way, we're going to shut down 15 small cities.
Yeah, and then not only that, they already have told all their employees that are going to be furloughed in October. They said, here's when your furlough is going to start. And hopefully that furlough doesn't turn into loss of job. But time will tell.
My perma bear might come to life here.
Yeah, those charts they show
trading
of these markets overlaid over the timeline of the Great Depression with the huge rebound, they're pretty scary. That being said, more harbingers of perhaps apocalypse. The stimulus talks are on recess. We hit U.S.-China trade talks. I mean, who cares at this point? China's not living up to their deal, no matter what. You know, the phase one, whatever. Like, I guess we have bigger fish to fry.
It's
at
out
the
the window at this point.
Yeah, we still. I mean, is it talks? What are we talking about?
There's supposed to be follow. It's supposed to be a follow-up to the phase one. It was supposed to happen last week. They canceled it. Said no meeting in sight. And then yesterday, this morning,
follow-up?
I know nothing. I'm just telling you. That's what they keep talking about. I'm seeing it everywhere I look. They just keep talking about. We got to follow up to the phase one deal.
I'm not blaming you, Dad, but they don't. Like, none of it's been done. All the stuff that was promised, none of it's happened.
Nothing.
Anyway. My intern is going back to school Monday, which means colleges are back. That's the last story we wanted to hit on this because there's been a lot of outbreaks at campus. UNC, Notre Dame, they tried to bring people back. I remember my first week of college, and it seems like people were trying to do the same, right? Go out and party for the first time. With
are we even
around.
Surprised?
No, of course
here's
not.
the question: are the parents then? So if they're at school like done, so people are they moved to their dorms, probably haven't even unpacked. Does that mean they're not doing in-person classes? Is that what's going on?
It's not in-person classes, but it sounds like they're doing online classes while staying in the dorms.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
good luck getting anything done.
Yeah, but at Notre Dame, it was like a house party that they all went to.
That's what it turned into.
Right.
Yeah,
right. It's going to be a total fiasco. I have a couple cousins that are off to their freshman year of college right now, so I'm curious to see how this is actually going to work out.
Yeah, that would frankly suck. I feel bad. Like, you know, so many terrible things are happening. Let's just like throw another one on there, I guess. All right. So anyway, let's get to some of our levels, what we saw this week. We'll start with the ES, which is, you know, kind of the big dog at these points. We're at that double top.
We're at a double top here. We've got 3 positive days this week, but really this thing just kind of moved sideways. We're finding serious volume, serious brick wall, serious opportunity trading right off that 33.80. If you have not traded the level of 33.80 this week, you're not an S&P trader. I don't know what else to tell you. The opportunity has been there. The short side's really paid off. We've had some longs there. We got all-time high 33.96, and it was pretty wild yesterday watching the market get up there. We peaked at 33.95 in 3/4, and you could just see the sellers stacking in heavy at 96 even, 96 quarter, 96 half. I think I saw 1,000 working orders up at 96.5 yesterday. I have not seen 1,000 working orders in the S&Ps, and I don't know how long. That was wild.
Well, they sold it all off after the what came out
Minutes.
at 2?
Fed minutes.
We had the Fed minutes yesterday.
Yeah, it's just been the most quiet week. Up, slow grind up, like we've been doing every day, compounding 1% every day. And,
Michael finally got to sell his top.
And then the Perma Bear showed up, and I said, "Whoa, there's a short." I didn't get in on that one. It came out of the blue, and it was already a quiet week. So, but but then it firmed back up today. I thought it might continue. I thought it might.
It looked like that way in the morning and last night. Just to reiterate, what they were markets were momentarily stressed out by was that even though the Fed was incredibly dovish, they weren't throwing money at everyone dovish. They didn't enact yield curve control. They hinted at. We talked about this on the podcast the other day, Dan. They hinted that hey, our policies seem to be really benefiting like the 500 or even more so 10 to 100 biggest companies in the nation. Everyone else is having a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
We should do something about that.
No doubt.
And that alone sort of spooked the market that the faucet might get turned off.
Yeah, but it wanted to go to this morning, and this works for all of them. But you think about it, jobless claims, that's a pretty big miss. Over 100,000 more than expected when it came to jobless claims. Philly Fed didn't look good either this morning, so we had a lot that could have really sent this thing tumbling, and
it didn't.
It didn't. And guess what price it went and found? 33.80.
Yes, right now. That's right where we're at right now. And what I think it did yesterday, it shook out all the week longs, and now it's got a little lighter load to take it past new highs.
And listen, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but you did see kind of what jump-started things this morning, right? Which seems to kind of come around every time.
Bring on the bulls.
Yeah, bring in the bulls. Vaccine news. Vaccine news always seems to come out when the market starts showing a little bit of weakness.
Well, Russia has tested on 40,000 volunteers, saying signs are good, and they all volunteered to be tested on.
They didn't even have any cases for the longest time. Isn't that kind of odd too? I don't know.
Yeah. Dan, you'll get in line for the Russian vaccine first?
No. I said all of the 40,000 that they tested on volunteered. They made it a big deal to talk that they were volunteers, which makes me questionable.
Yeah. I mean, everything's questionable at this point, I guess.
Absolutely. So real quick, just on the S&Ps, couple places to keep an eye on, I think is worth noting. Obviously, 33.80 is just that pivotal level. You're going to find a lot of opportunity there. I'm kind of defining a range right now. I'm looking down at 33.30. It's a price I've watched for a while. And I'll be honest with you, you're not getting me up above 33.96. You're not seeing me look past that until the market tells me otherwise. So I'm going to look for shorts at 96 right now. Nothing's telling me else. I'm going to continue to short 96. That's kind of a range I'm looking at in the S&Ps. What do you think, Michael?
I'm excited to get past the 3,400, even though this Perma Bear Michael's starting to creep in. But 3,400, there's got to be some stops up there, and people that thought they'd never get hit because they're so in the money, and now they're not going to be in the money because they're going to get stopped out. But so look for a run. But I think when the whole my hypothesis is when the whole Apple and Tesla and everything splits up, and everybody thinks it's just going to double now again, and it's going to double again, and I got double the shares and quadruple the shares. Then I think it's what Alan Greenspan once said, irrational exuberance.
Right. Well, and it has me starting to wrap my head around thinking about Tesla. These guys have a lot of buyers came in at that 800 mark, 900 mark. And if they get the 4-for-1 split, they're going to be sitting here going, oh, damn, I can sell a little bit off, get my initial investment back, and I'll be sitting pretty, making profits.
You forgot about the one thing in trading. It's the hardest thing about trading is getting out, knowing when to get out. So right now you're just thinking you're God's gift to trading, and you don't get out when you think you're God's gift to trading because everything's just going to keep going higher. So that's when right? That's when you get caught. So something's going to happen. Who knows what is the big, not $1 million question. I'd say we're talking trillions of dollars.
Trillions of dollars.
Trillions.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I have another good Tesla trading story I'll say for next week because we're going to move on to the NQ, the Michael Jordan of these markets. What do you guys think?
It was the strongest of the three this week. We'll go back to the strongest one.
Strongest through the week. And you know what? Today actually was a really exciting day. I got on this morning on our market forecast and I said, look, market's going to, if we can find a bounce off of the open, look for 420, market rallied to 420. And I was kind of stalled out at 420. I said, maybe we're not going to get up there. That thing pushed that 11,500 mark, really kind of extending this idea of where the thing can go. It is a strong market. It's hard to ever think about shorting that right now. Everything tells me any one of these dips, you just have to scoop up what you can and run with it.
It's all Tesla, though. As of today, the top 6 companies in NASDAQ are 45% now. So half that trade. Like, think about, let alone what the next 10 companies are. Half of that trade is just those 6 companies. So, of course, it's way up. They are who we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were. You don't need the machines. They are the machine.
Yeah. And I mean, how much, I wonder, I don't have I had to close down my charts because my internet was unstable and I want to make sure I don't, get weird here. But how much of that was Tesla being up 10 or 7 or 8% today? I have no idea.
That's going back. I have this big hypothesis that Wall Street likes to screw over a lot of people. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I'm saying that the retail where there's like, they always call it the dumb money and the smart money. And I've been on the side of dumb money, and we are probably always considered dumb money if you're not an institution. I think they're funneling all the retail traders into these stocks. They're going to split them all up, have everybody think, again, this is so awesome, I own everything, never want to get out of them, and then they're going to take things apart. But I don't know why they take it apart, because now the other side of me, devil on the other side, says, why do they take it apart? Apple's got room to grow. I heard Apple doesn't even have any stores in India. They're going to start opening up stores in India. I mean, all this stuff. So it's just like, I don't know. It's tough. So you got to, I trade off flow. I trade off order flow and how it's moving and watching our levels that we talk about each week. So, but I'm still waiting for that big setup.
Yeah, I think you think about it, it's a good point. Apple, there is so much upward potential. You think about it, took 38 years for Apple to go from $0 market cap, worth 0 to worth $1 trillion. It took 2 years to go from 1 trillion to 2 trillion. So obviously the first trillion is the hardest to make. Before you know it, we're going to be talking 5-6 trillion. This company could be, GDP right now is 20 trillion. I mean, Apple could be the entire US GDP.
Well, maybe we quit talking about the 3 Amigos and talk about the 4 Quattros. Or 4 Quattro Amigos, and the Quattro is the FANG. I mean, that's its own index.
Well, it is. Yeah. Just because we didn't mention it, except we did it on the podcast, is like, and now you have, and this is what's going to test the Fed resolve to actually keep on doing these policies, is, they're buying bonds. Apple had a bond release that's not, they're like a government bond, and then they use the money to buy back stocks. And they could do it. I mean, it's not like
that's what they're using it for.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure too. And they don't even need it. They got sitting on hordes of cash. So
they have a massive cash reserve. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. So how are we playing? We got the ES, the NQ.
All right. So NQ, couple places to keep an eye on this week. On your low side, look at 11,265. A lot of opportunities been down there this week. I'll continue to watch it if we come down there. Right now, everything's saying this thing wants to go higher. Where's it going to go? I'm looking at 11,650. Love the price. I actually had to run a couple methods to figure out where to look up above. I kind of rounded it down to keep it simple. So I'm looking at 11,650. Check it out. Hopefully we get some opportunity there and look for a trade.
Let's finish briefly with the YM, the workhorse of this, which is going to have Apple slide down 15 spots for God knows what reason.
So YM, it was on its high as of last week. So it's just kind of been this slow sideways grind, slightly lower. We have been making lower lows and lower highs. So I'm going to say it's a sideways to lower market state right now. 0 positive days over the last week, range of about 370 points. And it's struggling to find that momentum that these other guys have seen.
Narrowly avoided 4 straight red days for the first time since February.
Narrowly, yep. And I think it's just everything's running out of steam. But like you said, Danny, everything says it's still pointing higher. There's nothing that's except for your little jobless claim number today of a little higher than expected. If that starts showing up where these keep going, where the numbers start being a little bit worse than expected, then I think you could start seeing stuff. But I mean, this is just one, jobless claim number.
Right. I think it'll be a bigger telltale sign when we have unemployment in 2 weeks. What unemployment tells us may start to turn these things around. If we see unemployment actually start to go back higher, we've been seeing wins there. We've been seeing that number go lower. If it turns around and goes higher, that could start to kickstart everything tumbling. until the government, someone steps up and says, here's the stimulus package that you guys are going to get.
Right on. Well, that sounds like a plan. Anyone have any closing thoughts, or can we cut it for this week?
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
Well, that's good. That's a good place to end then.
It's just like the markets. I got nothing. It's just going to keep continuing. Whatever I say doesn't matter.
All right. We'll see you next week for Tesla 3000, everyone.